Hi everyone, Jill here. Welcome to Keto Living Over 50. So just got out of the shower, getting ready to make my collagen coffee this morning and thought I would share this with you for those of you that I have had a couple people ask me. And so I'd be happy to do that. I am not a coffee connoisseur at all. I've actually never drank coffee before until I started doing this years back. And my doctor just assumed, I think, that I did have to have coffee in the morning. And she started telling me, how to make this. And in my head, I'm going, that sounds kind of good. The reason I think my doctor suggested it to me is because I generally do not eat breakfast. It's not that meal that I have to wait a long time before I eat. I just don't have an appetite in the morning, and I can go several hours before I start to feel hungry. So she thought this would be a good way for me to start my day and start my day with really good fats, feel satiated, get some collagen in there, and some kind of macronutrients that you get from, for instance, the cacao butter. Let me go over though what I do use. Obviously you're going to need some coffee. Now I have a Keurig. I love my Keurig. However, it's recommended, I know my doctor and her husband, who's a nutritionist, recommended just use real coffee. I'm sure there are probably some pods for the Keurig that are sourced nicely, but in general they said don't use them. So what I did is I found this. Now it depends upon what model you have. This worked with my original model, which I don't even remember what it was called, and then that I ended up upgrading to a 2.0, and this one no longer worked for that, which is just a place for you to put your coffee grounds, and then it goes into the same slot as your pods would. There was a different one that I had to get for that model. This one is I just got this one last year. It's their newest model, and lo and behold, that one didn't fit this one, but my old one did. So before you purchase, you can find these on Amazon. You might even be able to go to Keurig.com and find what one you need for what model you need, but definitely double check, make sure you're buying the right one. Anyway, so yeah, all I do then, you can get little paper, what do you call them, inserts in here that you can put your coffee grounds in and then just take it up and throw the whole thing away. I don't have any right now. I'm doing fine with this. I just dump it out in my garbage when I'm done, but I know I don't have compost. But yeah, you just put it in here, close it, stick it into the same place you do the pods, and you're good to go. So I actually have been enjoying, now again, I am no coffee expert, not in the least, but I've been enjoying the Bulletproof brand here. This is their original ground coffee. It's right in the middle. I tend to do light roast because, again, I'm not a huge coffee fan. This one is probably the darkest that I'll probably be able to go and still like. Anyway, this one I'm really liking. So I just do 1 cup, which is why I stick to my Keurig. I can just do 1 cup and I'm good. So you're going to want to brew 10 ounces of whatever coffee you choose. But before I do that, let me show you what I put in. I like the Brain Octane oil. This is, again, it is bulletproof, but there are different brands out there. I know this is just the brand that my doctor worked with and recommended. Now this is an MCT oil. I'm going to do a completely different video about MCT oils, yada yada. This is the Brain Octane, which is the most concentrated form. It's great for brain health, hence the name. You work up to a tablespoon, definitely start at a teaspoon because it does and can have a laxative effect. So work your way up to the tablespoon, but I put a tablespoon of this in there. Sometimes, not all the time, sometimes I'll use a little bit of chocolate cacao powder. This is not cocoa powder, this is cacao powder. Again, you can find many different brands. You don't have to go with this brand. I have tried different ones and they seem fine. And then I use cacao butter. So now I have 2 fat sources. I have my Brain Octane oil, and now I'm going to be putting in some cacao butter. You don't need a lot because the flavor can really take over. Again, this is not cocoa butter, this is cacao butter. And then I do like putting some vanilla, pure, great sourced vanilla powder. Now, vanilla powder is not going to dissolve in your coffee. It's gonna impart the flavor, but you'll find that it's either gonna float at the top, or when you're done, it's probably gonna be at the bottom of your cup. But this is one from Bulletproof as well, but I've used different brands. And I have to say, actually, I really do prefer this one. It does really have a better full flavor. And this particular one is made from Madagascar vanilla beans. It's a good one. I use just the tiniest bit. I believe this that I keep in here is 1/8 of a teaspoon. It's just a little guy. So that's what I put in there. At the end is when, once I have, now, you know, you got fat in there, so you're gonna have to use an immersion blender, which means you're gonna have to use something that's big enough to where when you put this in it, it's not just gonna explode and go everywhere. This is just a blender bottle, you know, and it's just something that I use. I have a few of these to blend the coffee in. So I'll actually brew my coffee in this, add all of this, do this after I emulsify that fat in there so it's not floating at the top. It takes about 30 seconds. I do kind of high power. And then after that is when I will now add my full scoop of my collagen. It's flavorless. There is no stevia in it. There's no sweeteners, nothing. It is not going to change whatever you're putting in it, the taste of it at all. And this is the collagen peptides by Vital Proteins. So you want to just really carefully whisk that in at the end, pour it in your cup, and you're good to go. My doctor just said you can't do the immersion blender with the collagen. It's too delicate, so do it at the very end. And just, I find I have to use a little whisk because it does kind of clump up when you initially put it in there, and the whisk just breaks it apart really nicely, and it dissolves, and you'll never know it's in there. All right, so I'm gonna get going on this.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. A step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you can tell.
So that's it. This is how I make my collagen coffee in the morning. I look forward to it every morning. It keeps me full for several hours, 3 or 4 hours. It can keep me full. I have to really pay attention to the clock because I know you're not supposed to eat until you're hungry, but what I have been finding myself getting caught up in is looking at the clock and realizing I haven't had anything since this, and it's like 3 o'clock, 3:30, and it's about 9 o'clock in the morning right now. So while that's great, I'm hungry then, so I'll eat my lunch, which is usually leftovers from the dinner before. So now I'm very full, and then everybody else is ready for dinner and I'm not even hungry. And then I won't eat dinner, and then I'll get hungry at about, 7, 8 o'clock at night. So last night I just didn't have dinner. I had a little bit of blueberries, and I went to bed kind of hungry. So that's not the most ideal thing to do, but this does keep me full for quite a long time. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it helpful to you if you're just trying to figure out how to do this. And I will see you guys very soon. Bye-bye.